Hey, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about 5 concerns that I have for buying a Tesla Model 3 in 2019. The first concern that I have is going to be manufacturing defects. We all know Tesla has had its share of manufacturing defects. The first item is going to be panel gaps. Panel gaps are where for example, the fender doesn't quite line up all the way down with the hood. You have a larger section near the hood that has a bigger gap between it than, say, maybe the front section where the fender and the hood match. And so it's not a nice symmetric line all the way down. It's not tight. Another instance could be where one panel has a larger gap between it than, say, maybe where the trunk is or something. And for somebody that looks at that could become pretty annoying. The second item for manufacturing defects that concerns me are some of the paint defects that Tesla's had. They've had anything from, say, thin paint, paint that could easily chip, a very thin layer of clear on the paint, so that when people are on the doing highway driving, they get chips easily in the front, or the paint actually starts to fade near the fenders just from regular like water and sand coming off the tires and going onto the fenders, and it actually wears through to the primer. And that to me is a big concern that I do not want to see happen when I get my Tesla. The last manufacturing defect that concerns me is going to be interior components not holding together real well, from, say, clips or your center console's shaky, or your dash has a rattling sound to it. With there being no combustion engine in the car that would typically hide any of these sounds, any sound that comes from any of the panels, it's going to be very noticeable. And so as soon as you hear it the first time, you're going to hear that every time you get in the car until you fix it. And I don't want to have a lot of those, if any. The second concern that I have buying a Tesla, especially here in South Carolina, would be vandalism. So, we've all seen the videos. You have road rage drivers, or drivers that think that they are using their tax money to help people buy Teslas, and they typically drive very rude or try to run them off the road or cut them off, throw things out the window at them. So that's a concern that I have. There's also, say, vandalism in the parking lot when you're not there. Luckily, there is Sentry mode today that will help at least catch people if they do it, but that doesn't stop it from happening. And I don't really want to have to go through that process at all. So it's an area that I have a concern. And then the last item for vandalism, I would actually include theft. So we've heard both of Teslas being stolen pretty easily, the entire car. There's also been people stealing or breaking into the back glass of the Tesla Model 3, because then you can get into the trunk and they're looking for, expensive items in the trunk, especially during, say, shopping season and stuff, where they can steal those items and sell them and make some money. The third concern that I have is that there is a lack of service centers. And I mean this specifically because I'm in Columbia, South Carolina. So currently, the only service center around Columbia, South Carolina is in North Carolina. It's actually in Charlotte. And so that's not a far drive for me, but that's still only one service center for the whole area. There's not even one in Georgia. Not true. The next closest one is going to be in Atlanta, Georgia, which is a lot further of a drive than Charlotte. And I'm not sure if the mobile service will actually come down from Charlotte to Columbia if I need it to or not. The fourth concern that I have, being someone who lives in South Carolina, is there's a lack of superchargers. So we like to do a lot of traveling in South Carolina for our vacations. They're pretty close, and we can still make it to all these locations. But as far as the number of superchargers available, there's a very limited amount in South Carolina. There's one here in Columbia. There's one in Greenville. There's one in Florence on the way to Myrtle Beach. There's one in Myrtle Beach. And then currently there's not one in Charleston, but I believe they're supposed to be getting one according to the map. The only other one on the way down to Charleston is going to be the one in Santee, and that's a good bit off of the interstate that we would take going from Columbia to Charleston. Now there are destination chargers, and so if we were to go to Charleston, we would try to stay in a hotel that does have a destination charger, or maybe use one of the several other brands of chargers. I still like the idea of having a Tesla supercharger at pretty much all the locations that I want. The last item that concerns me has nothing to do with the fact that the Tesla is an EV. It has more to do with the fact that the Model 3 is a four-door car. And I've typically either had a SUV, a sports car if I had a car, and a pickup truck. And the reasons for that is because I like to have the utility of an SUV or a truck. I like to do my own housework, yard work, be able to easily move things, and have that utility at my disposal. And so there is a little bit of concern getting a four-door car because I won't have that. The other thing is carrying my bike. I do a lot of mountain biking, and so I'm not sure yet how I'm going to carry my mountain bike around. So we'll have to figure that one out. It looks like it may fit in the truck, but I would love to hear from anybody else if they've had any experience putting the mountain bike, say, in the trunk with the seats down, or if they bought the Tesla roof rack or anything like that. I might be planning on doing that. I haven't decided yet. But one thing is for sure, I need a way to take my mountain bike off to go ride on a regular basis. So those are my 5 concerns for buying a Tesla Model 3 here in 2019. They're not that big of concerns. As you can see, some of them are regular concerns that you would have with buying any vehicle. And so most of them have to do with the people around you, not necessarily the technology itself. Technology is great. There's no concerns about the fact of the range or anything like that. It's the build quality and it's the perception that the people will give to it, and possibly the vandals and things like that, are the bigger items. So let me know if you're thinking about buying a Tesla Model 3. Please like or subscribe, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Alright, thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.